Well, it wasn't crack for our Sean this morning because you decided to chance your arm.
Yeah, really just decided to chance my arm with an epic fail to start it off.
Go on. So, first of all, what did you hear?
So we have a meeting every morning, and Kim from the newsroom says there's rumours that on Taoiseach Leo Varadkar is going to be lingering around the streets of Marconi House here.
Right.
She says it could be a good opportunity for the show to get his 2 cents as to this weather warning.
The leader of our country. That's what we need.
The leader of our country. And with enthusiasm, we were like, let's do it. So Kim gave me a microphone and she gave me one instruction.
Right, one piece of advice from Kim, is a very experienced news broadcaster.
Yeah, Kim's been at this for a long time. She said, look, Sean, Leo's actually a nice man, but when you're trying to doorstep him, that's what it's called in the game, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Do not call him Leo. Go on Taoiseach or Taoiseach, can I stop you for a second? And
yeah, you do hear that on the radio stuff, don't you? Like, Taoiseach. Isn't it the case, Taoiseach? Though?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So, it's respect. I think it's quite a reasonable request.
He is the leader. I mean, if it was Donald Trump or Barack Obama or something, you would go, hey, Barrack, come here for a second, will you?
Exactly.
Talk, Joe.
So, that was game on, was sent off with my microphone and my camera to go off and chase the Taoiseach down.
Good.
With the instruction in my head of don't call him Leo. Remember that part, that's important. And so outside, bumped into him, and I was like, I panicked. And I just goes, Leo, can I grab you for a second? And then I panicked about that and I dropped my microphone.
Good
and he
start,
was just
Sean.
standing there looking at me being like, really? This is what I have to deal with? And,
he thought work experience people interviewing him was cute.
I didn't realise work experience was into their mid-20s. And then with that then, after dropping the microphone, I started to panic. And you panic, rambling. And I was like, oh Jesus, above all times for the microphone to drop. And he was just there like, oh God.
Trudeau doesn't have to put up with this rubbish.
Right, so you did catch up with him.
I eventually caught up with him and I asked him the hard-hitting questions.
Right, let's have a listen. This is Sean talking to Leo Varadkar today on Today FM.
Well, my advice to everyone is to take this very seriously. We've a red warning in Dublin, Louth and all the counties surrounding Dublin, and we expect this is going to go on for a few days. So maybe there are parts of the country that haven't yet been affected, but they could be yet. So we're really asking people to heed all the warnings, keep in touch with the news, and particularly if you have a neighbour who lives alone, to check on them and make sure they're okay.
Over the next few days then, what's the plan for here in Dublin and the outlook for the red status in general?
Well, there's a plan in place, obviously, to deal with the issues that are created by heavy snowfall. The roads are being gritted. We've stockpiled salt to do exactly that. There's a big focus, particularly on rough sleepers. So the teams last night did phenomenal work. Shelter, warmth, heat, food is available for anyone who needs it. And they were able to convince all but a handful of rough sleepers to come in last night, and that's been a big part of this as well.
When will the situation be reevaluated again?
Well, it's being reevaluated on an ongoing basis. The red warning in the Greater Dublin area applies until noon tomorrow, but that is being updated on a regular basis, and the National Emergency Coordination Centre is meeting regularly. We'd expect things to clear by the weekend, but between now and then we need to be on our guard.
What's your advice then for commuters going around here today and just Ireland in general for the next couple of days?
Advice really is just to take care, to look after your neighbours, look after each other, and pay particular attention to the warnings that are being issued by the Met Office and the government.
What about yourself? How was your journey in here this morning in terms of getting in around the snow?
Well, it was kind of okay once I got out of the estate and onto the main road, so it was okay. There wasn't an awful lot of traffic, so I got in quicker this morning than I would on an ordinary morning. But I think for most people, what we're saying is not to make unnecessary journeys. For obvious reasons, I have to be in government buildings today. But for people who can avoid making unnecessary journeys, they should do so.
Just schools and other buildings like that, what's the story with them? When is that going to be a blanket they're closed, or is that up to individual schools?
Yeah, at the moment it's up to individual schools. School transport operated by Bus Éireann isn't running in the red alert areas, but it's up to individual schools at this stage to decide whether they want to open or not, because in most cases it is possible for people to get to school, but that may change it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sean, come on.
Leader.
Look, the most. I think we need to take a really important message from that interview that Sean did with on Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, which is that he lives in an estate. Yeah. I just imagined that he'd live in some kind of gated mansion.
How are you, Taoiseach? I put your bin out in the curb for you earlier on. Hope it's in mind.
If Sinead Spain's listening, I'm ready. Sign me up for that newsroom.
I think, Leo, people go around complaining that Leo hasn't cut his grass verge. Has just made me so happy.
And plus, I think he did Theresa Mannion justice in his Don't Make Unnecessary Journeys.
Yeah. A lot of people are texting things in, Sean, about like Father Bishop Len Brennan. Don't call me Leo, you little Amazing, Sean, well done.